Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Face. This is going to be an episode that's neither AOS or 40K, but rather tournament based. We're going to be reviewing all of the new tournaments that were announced by Frontline Gaming. Of course, there's going to be the tournaments that we already know and love, but there are brand new ones across the entire United States that we're very excited to talk about. So sit back, enjoy, and we hope to see you there.
The app, as it were. There we go. In the angle, you can see the colors. I wasn't cool enough to get all my bulbs from the same brand. So I actually have 3 different apps to control all the bulbs in my
LEDs.
room. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's
I just have two two string light ones in this hobby room den gym thing, and then I have a two-pronged hobby light, and when I don't use it, which is now most of the time right now, I just flip it towards the wall, and the wall's white, and that one's like a bright white light instead of the LEDs, which are like blue, and it just lights up the whole room. But
oh, nice.
I haven't tried the multicolor ones yet. Yeah.
So I did some issues. I found some issues. I thought the issue was these lights were pulsing, but for whatever reason, I recently discovered it's actually my hobby light, which should be DC powered, but it actually flickers. And so when I use the hobby light, it creates a moire effect on the camera. It's like you see the constant going up. And so again, I was blaming it on my LED lighting lights, but yeah, no, it was my hobby light. So now that's part of why I got this other new light up here, so that I don't have to use my actual hobby light and get rid of that moire effect.
Okay. Wow. Well,
I
mean, whatever works for you. I'm glad you got the lights going. And then we got, of course, Garrett's lights, and there's no smart setup to it yet, right? No.
Nope.
No, Garrett's dying over there as he hears me talking about this, because he and I have talked at length about smart home and smart home hubbing, and literally I have the exact opposite. I have the worst possible home electronic smart home combo you can get, with nothing that is intercompatible.
Well, that's what I was telling you, is that you can get a home bridge.
Yes.
And if you go the Apple route, you can get a home bridge and then get like a HomePod Mini or something, and have everything just port into your HomePod Mini.
Nice. And I guess technically most of it is all quote Alexa compatible too. So I imagine through that there's a way to.
Yeah, if you just get an Echo Dot. So the whole thing about having everything talk to each other is that you can use one app, like the Alexa app, the Google Home app, or the HomeKit app, and to do everything. And if you have a HomeKit, like a HomeKit router or an Alexa router, you can talk to your smart devices while not being on your Wi-Fi network. That's the other thing the routers give you. So you can control your home from like Europe or wherever. Like fuck, who gives a shit?
Interesting.
Again, I don't know how I feel about that. I will say, because Jeremy's not here to defend himself, that there was one time, and I'm not going to go into specifics until after we stop recording, but we were both away prior to Nurgle's Rot. We were both away about 3 hours away, let's say. It was a good approximation. And he was fucking around with his internal settings for some aspects of his smart home, and severely disabled a portion of his home. And, he, of course, was not there, but there was someone else who was living there who had to deal with it. And I will just say that it was fun to watch from the outside, but I did feel for him for sure. I was like,
no, that's terrible. Yeah, I'm reminded of that book I read earlier in the year, the Great Rainier Sasquatch Massacre.
Jesus Christ, the Max Brooks one?
The Max Brooks one, which part of that is that the people are living in nature, but then they're in these ultra smart homes, like the ultimate ultra smart off the grid homes that are super self-sufficient. Until the moment they aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a similar sentiment in World War Z where he talks about how, like, you know, you're an accountant, you know how to code. Oh, great. Well, you know, the grid's down. So what the fuck are you gonna do? Like all these,
Yeah.
like, you know, people who know trades and medicine and first aid and shit like that, they become like prominent because of that, you know. It's like, okay, you know.
Luckily,
Yeah.
I have serious post-apocalyptic skills.
Oh, yeah. We know you're gonna be a
Metalworking, all that
warlord of the
stuff.
South Bay if that's the case.
I could actually build stuff.
So with that being said, you know, we of course have our listeners who ever want, who, you know, if they ever want to listen to or learn about some of those tactics and preparedness, we can always talk to John about that. And that could potentially be in future phases, right? So my phase, very simple for this week. No hobby work. Got the home gym set up about 95%. I'm getting a pair of plates tomorrow to and a little bit of some extra change weights, and then a hex bar comes in, or trap bar comes in tomorrow as well. And I got my mirrors, almost all my mirrors, so I'm about 95% done with this whole project. Got a weightlifting platform, everything like that. That's been completely occupying all hobby sense for me, just like building a computer was a separate hobby project. Now I got weightlifting stuff instead for now, but I want to paint my Seraphon really bad, despite actually needing to paint my Necrons. And our patrons, as well as the people on Twitter, have been very, very helpful in terms of helping me find out different ways for accountability. You know, I want to give in my phase, I want to give a bit of a shout out to a couple of our patrons who gave really, really good advice. You know, Dane basically said, "Suck it up," and you know, just deal with it. You know, Andrew did, you know, he showed me his whole rundown of what he does, how he does it. He writes it down pen to paper, and I'm very analog when it comes to accountability factors. Like I'm just now doing like a workout app that just because I want to like calculate my RMs and make sure that I can see the volume of weights all at the same time that I'm doing throughout the entirety of like a workout and stuff, which requires, unless I decide to have a calculator next to me, it's something where it's very helpful. But I never use, I'm always like a pen to paper notebook person in the past, so I'm getting used to not doing that. So I appreciated Andrew just having that like piece of paper with that list grid. There were a few people on Twitter who had mentioned, you know, their Excel spreadsheets, their hobby hangouts, which I think are fantastic. And you know, I'm still trying to figure out what works for me, but thank you guys so much for the advice and the help, honestly. So we got the painting that we need to do. We did not do a stream this last week. You know, Jeremy and I did some private gaming session, but nothing that was streamed or recorded. We're going to try to do some sort of recording this upcoming week, whether it be 40K, Age of Sigmar, or otherwise. Of course, you know, I'm, as well as others, you know, I shared the sentiment with you guys prior to recording that I am anticipating the Dark Tide release. You know, it was supposed to be released this month. We don't know when it's going to come out. I just want to play as a fucking crazy Minotaur priestess and go ham. That's what I want to do. But we're not going to be able to do that yet. I was also, and I don't know if it was out by the time this comes out. I don't know if it's farther out on the docket, but I was on a Hedonite episode of Party at the All Points, given a little bit of a list rundown of a few different lists for Age of Sigmar. There was primarily the list that Jeremy and I had discussed in the tome review for In Your Face. You guys can find it on YouTube and I think Twitch right now. And you know, it's not a great list, but it was like the running out the gate list. So do check them out so you can take a look at not just that one, but other lists. You know, the moment that we talked about the special Ever Chosen, or Wrath of the Ever Chosen Invader host, he was just like, dude, I've talked to 8 people and like 7 of them have that as their main faction. I was like, yeah, did they have XX and X? And he's like, okay, they had like 60% of what you've mentioned. I'm like, okay. But that's all that's in my phase. A little bit of talking about AOS, a little bit of neglecting painting. but that's it. John, what about you? I see you have new apparel.
I do. I got my new in your phase gear here. Very exclusive, as it's the only one that exists at this point. The logo on the back. Let's see, we get down there. Oh yeah, we got our IYP on the back as well. Sporting off some of the cool artwork that Nick did for us last year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, about a week ago, I just got a random urge that I needed an in-your-face shirt, and so I hopped onto one of the shirt printy sites, uploaded the graphics, played around with colors and positioning, and I decided this is what I liked. And so had it printed, and it cost me $30 and took a week. So I thought always, and I only bought the one. I was a little concerned. I've bought shirts like this in the past, and the fabric has been kind of cheap. This is a thick Hanes cotton shirt. I was like superior, like really happy with how thick the material is on this and how the nice printing. We'll see how it holds up after a few washes, but if it all holds up, then maybe we'll put the link out there for anyone to get for themselves. But
Okay.
Right now I'm guinea pigging it, as it were. And it's funny, Alex. It's nice to see you. You've been talking a lot about lifting weights and doing the workout thing, and I really appreciate it, because that's about 100% more workout in my life than currently exists. So I figure I haven't gotten to the point where I'm actually doing any workouts myself, but somehow just hearing about it, I'll end up just kind of feeling guilty and doing something, Okay. But anyways, I already see it that I like hearing about it. It's starting to get me a little excited. I'm finding myself looking at my my Nordic track over there and thinking, I should probably put that thing to use. So that's it. As far as what's actually been in my phase this last week, one, no rats. Every time the dog went out, I stood at that door, let him out, let him in. And we're not having a repeat of that. In fact, I also, for what it's worth, I went and got some rat repellent, which is just concentrated peppermint oil, and sprayed all around the edges of my yard with concentrated peppermint oil to drive away the rats.
So what is it about peppermint oil? Because in the spring, like I've never lived in a place that's had really like I couldn't live in a house that has cockroach infestation or whatever, but I'm consistently in a part of the world where it gets really dry in the summer sometimes nowadays, and ants show up looking for water. And I used peppermint oil last summer in like areas where I saw the ants coming from, just a little bit, like sometimes smeared, sometimes dripped along where the entrance was, and they just would go nowhere near it. So like, do you know, what is it about peppermint oil? Like,
yeah, I assume that the peppermint plant produces the oil literally to protect itself from being munched on and what have you. And like most things that humans really enjoy are things that plants created for us not to enjoy. Things like peppermint oils, hot spicy peppers, all of these things are some kind of defense. As far as ants go, yeah, it's funny. We're having the same problem this kind of year. We get some little grease ants in my yard, so they're nothing big. They're little tiny ones. And this time of year, they're coming up. The rainy season is done. They're coming up looking for, I don't know if they're really looking for water, or they're also looking for just like new food sources as they're going into spring breeding time and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every single day, my wife's like, where are these ants? There's ants in the bathroom. Why are there ants in the bathroom? So yeah, I've been fighting that too. So that also has not been in my phase. What has been in my phase is the new Hammerhead Games Crusade. So I'm starting on a crusade ran by Tony Myers and Hammerhead Games out of Sacramento. This is actually the second league in a row that he's ran. And the players all over the Central Valley of California, coast, Bay Area, that's pretty widespread. And the way it's set up is you basically, can play games against basically anybody and then report them back into the crusade. We're starting off at 50 power level. And I myself am playing Necrons. I've got my mighty overlord Zeztuku, who is coming in to help one of his buds If you're if you're on our Patreon, I posted all my mighty fluff over there, such that it is. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting it. I haven't played any games yet, but I've just been kind of list building, and power level in 40K is one of those really interesting ways to build this. I mean, it is AOS at that point, but 40K is designed to be a much more granular game than AOS is. So with AOS, a lot of times nowadays, if a unit has two different weapon options, they're actually splitting them, and you can be this unit or that unit that came out of the kit at two different point levels. But when we're playing power level in 40K, you get all the options for free. And Necrons kind of come out a little on the short side of that. I was looking at a lot of our vehicles don't have a huge number of weapon options, not ones that really crank up the price where you can take advantage of that. Those kinds of things, as opposed to like Tau, for example. Tau on power level, you start talking battle suits and all the options and weapons and all those things. Like Tau can really take advantage of power level when it comes to list building. And, so there's kind of one of those things that, it's just a new experience for me. I'm not used to it. And sorry for the beeping, guys, by the way. I got stupid reference open in the background for the later part of the show. So something I normally don't have, but I couldn't figure out how to turn the binging off. So anyways, that's all that's been in my phase, is getting ready for this crusade and generally rolling into spring. Oh, my pepper seeds sprouted. I was really happy about that too. But started some seeds on some heated pads. I thought it would take 4 to 6 weeks. And I started 6 plants. And you'll remember these from 2 or 3 years ago, Alex, of the rat turd peppers. The little teeny rat turd peppers. So I'm growing, I started 6 plants. Going to give a couple to my neighbor, a couple in my yard, and we'll see what we do with the rest of them. Find some willing host for them. So that is the rest of what's been in my phase. Mr. Garrett, what is in your phase this week, my friend?
That was quite a transition in your loud, boisterous voice. Just like, let me whisper this to you, Garrett. Okay, let's go forward. But I've had a fairly exciting week, actually. My phase was a bit interesting. So first, I've started playing around with some list building. I've just kind of like, felt like tiddling, having that game against Alex. I was like, let me just try out some things. And a buddy of mine out here, Corey, is looking to start Sisters because he wants to play a army that can survive shifts in the meta. And Sisters kind of has a lot of that core strength where no matter what direction the meta goes in, they probably will come out on top, at least up in the top 5 of things that you can try to play yourself into a win. They just got good, solid foundations in them. So we've been talking a lot of Sisters and stuff like that. And then I was looking at orcs, and in particular, I was like, how could I crank these burner bombers to the max? Like, let's just like melt Necrons. So in the Saga of the Beast, they have a subculture you can take instead of like Goths or something, where it's the arsonists. The pyromaniacs, I think they're actually called. They have an arsonist's rule, which adds an additional +1 to the result of the bomb roll. So I do mortals on 3-ups instead of 4-ups. And then also you get to re-roll the number of dice when using flamer weapons like Scorches, Burnas. They actually list every weapon that would be able to re-roll the number of dice for the shots. And if you're using Burnas in melee, they get to re-roll the wound. I was like, all right, let's get as many Burna Boys as possible. Throw them in some battle wagons or something and just barrel down the field with Burna Bombers. And let's just play at a Pyromaniacs list. And I was like playing around with that. I think I had like 20 Burna Boys, 2 battle wagons with both having custom jobs on them.
You're just going to make me play MSU against you. Fuck it.
Yeah, right? And then it was just like, let's just like, because it's like, could you imagine 10 flamers re-rolling number of shots, auto hitting, and then coming out of the battle wagon, re-rolling to wounded melee with Rend 3? It's just like, yeah, let's do this. This sounds like a fun list. Like, it's not going to win. It's not going to do well, probably, but it could be entertaining. So I was playing around with some fun orc lists, just getting back into like the wacky of orc. So that's kind of what I've been doing hobby wise. It's just kind of list building. Want to try to settle in on. I'm like looking forward to like a future in Warhammer now. Like once I can start getting out of the house, I'm gonna like head over to our buddy James's house and maybe try to get some 40K games in. Maybe get back into AOS, and he'll play his new Snakes that he's been dying to play.
James plays 40K too.
He has a 40K army. He had played 40K back in the day.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And so he knows that 40K exists. And so it'd be kind of like,
but he's not a hardcore dual motor like the rest, like us four, I guess.
He used to be.
Yeah.
I would say he's kind of similar to me, where like he used to be a hardcore 40K player when he lived in England. And then he moved out to the States, and he kind of like, well, I don't like 7th edition 40K, so I'm going to play AOS. And he just never got back into 40K. And then 9th edition dropped, and he wasn't playing anywhere because between work and not being able to leave the house, it was kind of like not really playing anything. And he's not a TTS guy, so he hasn't gotten it. He hasn't played 9th yet, I think, is the issue.
Oh, so that'd be fun. Yeah, how exciting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then obviously, and one big part of that is, as we'll talk later, is in my area, there's a big tournament coming up, the Atlantic City Open. And so a lot of the people out here are kind of, so that's kind of on my radar of like things to pay attention to. And so I'm trying to get my head back into like how I want to approach the game again and maybe start painting up. So we'll see. Other than that, I painted my bathroom and installed a new toilet. So just some more home projects. Had some fun stuff. First time you've
installed a toilet?
First time I've installed a toilet.
Were there YouTube videos involved?
No, there was not. The wife, I think, watched some, but we kind of just read the instructions and just installed it. Toilets are not hard. Like,
it's not hard.
No. We're actually not done. The toilet we got is taller than our last one. And so the pipe from the water distribution pipe to our toilet is not long enough. So I need to go to the store and get a PVC pipe to actually extend our toilet to actually get water. So
flex hose.
Well, no, it is a flex hose, but at its farthest flex, it's not tall enough.
Wow.
Yeah, our toilet is, the new one we got is taller, and because the last toilet we had was pretty short, and so whoever built the house had a short flex hose, like a fairly short one, and so so it's just kind of like get something to extend so we can get the flex hose attached to the toilet, basically.
Interesting.
And then I also got a cat this weekend. I got a new kitty. Yeah, so we picked her up on Sunday. So as of this recording, that'd be 2 days ago.
Pictures. Are they there? Introduce us.
Well, so I'm in the basement, and we are she's still getting comfortable in the house. I mean, I have like one picture.
You knew you were gonna tell us this, and you didn't think that we were gonna want to see.
Go get that cat right now.
Go get that cat right now. I don't care if it scratches you.
It'll take a while.
I mean, I'll get this one. This one doesn't want to be picked up. I'm trying to make sure she doesn't nap during recording like she normally does, because she's been a little nightmare at 3 a.m. She's our loud baby. You've met her. She's
I like your cat.
Yeah, she's.
I wish I could show you my cat. She doesn't get to come this far into the house. She probably wouldn't let me carry her this far into the house. Yeah, I'd get some of that action long before I got this far. But Donna would start squawking at me too of dragging the cat through the house. Miss Vivi lives out in the garage and the backyard, her exclusive domain, as it were. And I'll tell you what, it's this time of year, it's tough because mostly she likes to hang out in the garden. So she really only likes being in the garage during like the cold of winter. So now in this kind of transition, it's like I'll hear her meowing in the garage. So I go out there and she'll be like, go to the door to let her out. So I open the door. And she'll like look and stick her head out the door because I just have it open a crack and like, no, it's still too cold. And we'll like poke her head back in and go lay down in the garage. So I'm like literally, I just went out in the garage to open the door so the cat could kind of take a peek around and go back and lay down. Like this is what my life has come to in the world of serving cats, which it's funny. Cats always kind of, people like to say they're like aloof and intelligent. I'm convinced that cats are just really dumb. Like all that stuff that comes off as real coolness is just dumb. Oh, that is a cute cat.
Okay.
What a cutie. He does not. He is not happy at the second. But
For
that
those
is
not watching the video, it's definitely very antsy. A little gray. It looks like it's a American short hair.
got a
Gray
nice
with a little white.
nice blaze on his chest. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Got some stuff right
But it's
there
a
on the
female.
nose, right?
A female. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that was
Yeah.
She
it.
hasn't been. She hasn't been in the basement before, so she gets to explore it now.
Nice.
oh.
She's a brave cat. Like she's already like sleeping on top of us at night and like exploring the whole house. Like she's just like, fuck it, this is my house now. I mean, she's only like 2.
So the things I've learned. Is this your first cat in a while?
No, it's end of 2019 was when my last cat died.
Okay. When it comes to integrating a new cat into the household, definitely like looking up videos on like cat body language, because this is not going to be a cat episode.
Yeah.
Is going to be really, really important to know their like the cat's comfort levels and shit like that. But you know, when I got Pluto, which is like the yin to the yang that is Dixie, because he's like cuddly and sweet and soft and like doesn't really like, you know, growl or do anything like that. He's like the polar opposite of Dixie.
Well, I can't wait to meet him.
He's bigger than her now. Like
Oh, yeah?
the vet was like, yeah, he's definitely gonna be bigger. But he like goes down to Dixie and Dixie like cleans him up, like, you know, probably thinking like you little annoying shithead, you know. But oh, that was so cute. But if that cat's already sleeping with you guys, that's a really good sign, I think.
Yeah. She's super friendly. She's super food motivated. She has her moments where she gets a little skittish, but yeah, she's already like, you know, marking us and purring when we pet her and like,
oh, perfect.
Our last cat that we had, like she took forever to get, you know, like a couple of weeks or something. Yeah, no, this one's like already on like into it.
Nice.
Wow.
So
Although I myself am very against allowing cats anywhere near where I sleep. I've had one too many bad experiences with that.
Oh, ew.
Too many claws, you know.
Oh, yikes. Okay. Wow. Damn.
Yeah, so no sleeping with cats for me. It's funny, actually. Our Donna, we let her. Well, I should say Donna. We let the new dog sleep in the bed, and I've never allowed that before too. Now the stupid dog just wants to glom all over me. It was nice in the wintertime when it was cold, but moving into summer, he might find himself on the floor real quick.
Yeah, my dog regulates himself. Like we love having him sleep on the bed, but if it's summertime, he's like, "Fuck, I'm not getting on the bed. It's way too hot." And if it's wintertime, he's like, "You better let me on the bed. It's fucking cold."
Okay. Well, I'm hoping I get that action. That'll work out for me. I could go for that.
There is a dog that I have some trouble with sleeping around, and that actually pertains to the main subject of today's episode, which is Frontline Gaming events. The upcoming ones for 2021. The 2019. Which BAO did you TO?
That was
for
2019.
2019. Okay, yeah. The last real season for ITC.
Yep.
Air quotes for those who get upset from that. But I didn't get a lot of sleep the second night. Part of that was because we did Japanese barbecue, and there was something in there for me, and I was just throwing up a bunch that night.
Really?
Yeah. But on top of that, what really prevented me from sleeping, and also had Jeremy hear me throw up like 4 times that night, because he himself couldn't sleep as well, because that goddamn dog Cody, who we love and adore, snores like a something like something else. And there was one point they shared a bed. I had to like go over after coming out of the bathroom and trying to get back to sleep. I nudge him and I'm just like, "Can you please move to your side?" He's like, "Okay." But don't
worry, Cody, I got you, bro. That's one thing. Snoring does not bother me. I've been in the Army, like, no, there's no sleepy noises that bug me at all.
That's very fortunate. That's very fortunate. The Frontline Gaming events, of course, have seen a big change. Traditionally, and you Garrett, myself, most of our friends, especially our friends who are from California as well, we all kind of like got into gaming around the start of Frontline Gaming, right? Like we've known the FLG people for a long time. You know, I remember their store in Martinez, playing with them in the Alamo Games Workshop, which Seth used to be the manager of. Prior to that place just totally closing down. There's a lot of development that happened in primarily the East Bay, and then kind of just spread out everywhere, right? Now that was me. Okay, very weird. Yeah, there's a motorcycle or something, or like a bunch of them. But you know, of course, it started with the Bay Area Open in a shitty hangar, and then they upgraded a little bit. Then they totally upgraded, and then they became part of KublaCon. Then there was, of course, SoCal Open, which hasn't changed. But before SoCal Open even came about, of course, there was the LVO, and the LVO has been big. It's been great. It's gone from you know, the why can't I think of the name right now? The Bally's to the Flamingo, back to Bally's again, and then now we know that it's going to show up in the Rio for 2022, which is great. I've been to every single LVO. I absolutely love it. If you guys are new gamers or have never been to LVO, spend time. It's worth the time. It's great to bring your partner. It's a fucking blast. I don't know how it's going to look like in the world, you know, in the new world, but it's going to be, it's always a great time. But now, you know, in the last couple of months, they've had these announcements towards a whole ton of different Frontline Gaming events. And, you know, we have friends from all across, and, you know, our competitive team is all across the country now. And even on top of that, you know, we've made a lot of friends, right? You know, outside of the FLG people, we're talking to, you know, Basement Work gamers, you know, some of the Twitch streamers as well, and everything else in between. I know for a fact that there were, you know, a few of the Basement Wargamers. I've been talking with them for the last couple of weeks, and they've been just fucking ecstatic about, you know, a few of these events, specifically events right in their neighborhood that are run by FLG. And I personally, I'm not going to feel comfortable going to anything until I get 2 shots in the arm. But, and that's, I'm looking probably at like May or something for me. But, looking at the calendar of events, it's really great that they've been able to just expand as far as they have. And, you know, the calendar of events, it's not necessarily on, say, the Frontline Gaming website, but they do have it on their Facebook page, as you, John, had shown us a little bit earlier prior to recording. It looks like there's again a good number of events that are going on, anything from you know, the Atlantic City Open to, of course, the New Orleans Open. In addition to that, there's going to be a LVO or Las Vegas team tournament. I think that's primarily and only just for 40K. There's the Lone Star Open, and of course the standard normal LVO SoCal Open BAO. That's a lot. Not all of them have announced had announcements for specific dates, but let's take a look and let's have a chat and talk about the hype here. The very first one, the Frontline Gaming one for this upcoming season, is going to be the Atlantic City Open. John, that's going to be in Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City. I can tell you right now, I have never been to Atlantic City. I've been to the East Coast 3 times, once in Orlando, Florida, once in New York City, and once in Washington, D.C., which you guys already know about, and I don't have to repeat again and again and again. But, you know, you guys have all met Nick, my twin, and he used to party really hard in Atlantic City, and I've heard a lot of stories about going a little too fucking nuts at Atlantic City. And have you, either of you guys ever been?
Well, first off, I want to apologize to everyone listening for the notifications in the background. I would normally never have Facebook open while recording, but to see the Frontline Gaming tournament event dates, I do have to go to the Frontline Gaming Facebook page. And despite muting all my conversations, they still seem to be making notices. In fact, all those bings you just heard are conversation in my Game Castle Crate group as the next Game Castle Crate is getting ready to go out. So other than that, I have not been to Atlantic City. But I've been meaning to ask Garrett. Now that you're a tried and true East Coaster, you survived a winter, so that means you're official over there. Okay. Now I realize that Atlantic City, New Jersey, right, is a couple states away, but those are little East Coasty states. So translate multiple state distances to West Coast distances that I can understand from. How far away from you is Atlantic City?
About the distance for you to go to Reading.
Oh, okay. So a couple 100 miles, like a good 4 or 5 hour drive, maybe.
Yeah. It's about
Okay,
four to 5 hours to, I think, to get to Atlanta. I know I went to a tournament in New Jersey, I think it was North Jersey, and took about 4 hours.
Okay, so I'm not flying to your house and then driving over there. I'm going right to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what,
I'm driving.
For me, the time frame of this seems just about perfect. What was that? Let me pop back over.
June 21st.
I was going to give the exact date here. Yes, it is June 11th and 13th at Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City. And that should be perfect. That is, hopefully I myself and everyone I know is well vaccinated by then, and most of the country, and things are really going back to normal. So I see myself traveling by June. Though as it turns out, I might actually be taking it. Alex isn't here to hear this, but a trip up to Portland in the next couple of weeks for business, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, so I'm looking forward to this. Atlantic City, I've never been, always have wanted to go. I know my wife has always wanted to go. So both of us are really excited for an opportunity to go check out Atlantic City. Midsummer, as opposed to stark middle of winter, traveling for a big tournament sounds awesome. Myself, I have been on the East Coast in June and July, and mostly it's not horrible, but it's a little more humid than I'm used to out here on the West Coast.
Desert. In a desert. California is a desert.
Okay. Hold on. No. I don't live in a desert.
No, you don't.
It's wet 2/3 of the year, and I also hate it. It's not it's dry versus wet air. Wet air is unnatural.
No, it's very natural. It's literally nature.
No. It's like that's how Neptune is. That's how. That's.
Did you see the pictures from Venus with the steam? Venus is kind of like that. I think.
I'm sure it's fucking humid there too. Yeah.
But better than that, I said I look for, and I understand it. It is literally on the ocean, right? Atlantic City, like there's a boardwalk, and like though I'm very familiar with West Coast beaches and Hawaii and all that kind of stuff out here. I've even been to the Caribbean, so I've swum in those beaches. I've never actually been to the Northeast beaches, so a chance to go to Atlantic City in the summer and check out the Atlantic Ocean. Not Myrtle Beach down in South Carolina, but something nice, not that that's not nice. Super nice down there too. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, so I look forward to it. The whole thing sounds exciting. And there'd probably be some AOS happening.
So, you know what? There's a lot. It's like a tributary. Okay, so I'm not used to the East Coast. Anyone who's listening who knows us, you guys all know my thoughts on some of these things. Like
not used to. That's putting it politely.
That's putting it politely. Now you look at the natural. There's state areas and stuff, and these beaches they're what I would expect. They make Pacific Beach in SF look like I don't know, somewhere in Belize, but there's a little island next to the Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City. It's right next to a bridge. It's right next to these little small tributaries like Little Panama, Low Water, Thoroughfare. But then there's an island right next to Hannah's Atlantic City, and it's called Mankiller Island.
What?
Yes, I shit you not. It is less than a mile from from Atlantic City. Now I can't click on it. It doesn't look like it's an actual like destination spot, but Mankiller Island is right next to Harris Resort in Atlantic City.
That's awesome. I'm even more in.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for this because ever since I moved to the East Coast, one of the unfortunate realities was I could no longer just drive my way to the Frontline Gaming events, and I've always been super pleased with their events. Always well run, great terrain, great staff. I mean, always good attendance. So it's exciting that I don't have to look at booking a flight and getting a hotel versus just driving and getting a hotel, figuring out how to fly my army anytime I want to go to one of these Frontline Gaming events. They now have the Atlantic City Open, which is very exciting. I know, as Alex mentioned, the Basin Wargamers, I mean, they've been to Atlantic City for gaming for Shorehammer. That was the traditional Atlantic City tournament that they've been to. And so these guys have, I think, been very excited to be in a Frontline Gaming event. A couple of them, I think, came out for Las Vegas Open, but not all of them. And they've always been huge supporters of the ITC. So I think a lot of them are really looking forward to see the Frontline Gaming treatment come out to one of their local events. And I am too.
Now, do you think this is also going to cause some sort of shrinkage on the actual Las Vegas Open now with there's a little less impetus to travel, especially for some East Coast folks?
I don't think it'll cause shrinkage, but I definitely think it might stymie their growth. If that makes sense. I think the people that have gone to LVO will continue to go to LVO, but people who, I mean, also it's like LVO is also the finale of their whole series. Like this has become, they're basically building.
Oh, that's true. So if you're competitive, there is still that sort of premiere. Now, hopefully the LVO maintains some extra bonus and what have you.
I mean, it's always going to be the finale, and it's always
it'll be the finale, but we've seen in years past, before the LVO was quite the size that it was, other tournaments eclipsing the LVO or coming near to the LVO in value. Once upon a time, Adepticon, for example.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
I was going to say, I think on that, I mean, LVO can only, one of the benefits of LVO, I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with Reese about this, is one of the downsides of places outside of Vegas is growth has kind of there's a limit to how big you can grow. Like Adepticon, they can't get any bigger.
Because of the location too.
Yeah, that's the thing, is for them to get bigger, their size of venue would have to like quadruple. There's no middle ground between where there are versus going into Chicago and getting convention centers. And that is a huge cost risk of going from a well-regarded hotel that has good size event to needing to then go to a convention center and having to quadruple your attendance, else risk losing money. LVO and Vegas in general has so many options to grow. Like if they were already outgrowing Bally's, if Rio wasn't a thing, there was another hotel they could go to.
And we've seen, though, like if you look at Adepticon has expanded to multiple hotels, and now Kubla Khan, if you remember in 2019, the BAO was actually held in a secondary hotel for Kubla Khan. So Kubla Khan is also running in 2 different hotels. So that's not uncommon. And when you start getting into like airport areas, which makes travel easy, it's pretty easy to find a group of hotels. And nowadays with corporate conglomeration, you can even find a couple of hotels next to each other that are owned by the same corporate overlords, if you would, too.
Yep.
Probably making deals a lot easier. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what's happening with Kubla Khan.
But Vegas is even
LVO.
Yeah, exactly.
LVO LVO is going to be at the Rio, and the Rio and Bally's and Caesar's Palace and one other
Paris.
And the Paris. Okay, makes sense. And the Paris, they're all under the Caesar's name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's like LVO, that whole thing about like, having hotel conglomerates. Well, Vegas does that to an extreme.
Yes.
So you can have even more room with more, deals and whatever. And so it's just like LVO just has so much room to grow. Like, especially now that you're at the Rio, it's just like, they just will have the space and it'll be affordable for Frontline to keep getting more space. that they're just going to be able to economically grow bigger from a just footprint. Like, especially if like we have to, if in the future, you know, it's going to be harder to have tighter quarters, they're going to have plenty of space. They can just keep growing faster than anyone else because there's going to be big, wide open spaces at the Rio.
For context there, for those who may not know, even those who've been to LVO and maybe didn't go to the Rio because it's like right off of the strip, the context that Garrett's providing for our listeners here, or for you guys here, is that the World Series of Poker goes on at the Rio every single year, and they don't, some of those rooms are open and people are allowed to like wander back there to a certain extent after, you know, until a certain point in time, really, in Vegas. And those are, if you've been to LVO, you've seen how giant the rooms are. They're convention level convention halls that are sometimes bigger than most major cities' convention halls. Those are small compared to the rooms that Garrett's talking about. You could probably fit 3 or 4 LVOs in all of those I want to call them rooms. I don't know what they call them. Auditoriums.
Halls.
The main hall for the World Series of Poker that's at the Rio could fit more than one LVO in terms of all players and appropriately distanced tables.
Yeah, I'd say the Rio is a little bit of a step up from Bally too. And though I don't know the casino well, we have had some wonderful bottle service up on the roof of the Rio a couple different years, and definitely got our boogie on. So I look forward to more of that too.
So my wonderful Indian restaurant there too.
My very long-winded answer is I honestly think the LVO will continue to grow because they have everything going for them to grow. And these events out here are just going to maybe be appetizers for the LVO, I think, is what it's going to be. Because it's like you'll see how Frontline runs an event out here. If you want to see it turned up to 11, go to LVO.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, I think the Atlantic City Open is going to be big, but yeah, will it be LVO big, right?
No. Yeah.
No.
Now, on the other hand, you know, the next one on the list, that Lone Star Open near Dallas, Texas. I myself, I know it's not the most popular place to travel to right now, but every time I have been to Texas, I've had a wonderful time. I've been to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, been to Austin, been to Houston. Texas is a wonderful place. Good people, good restaurants, good food. I think last time we were in Dallas-Fort Worth, my wife rented a horse. We've owned horses, or my wife has owned horses her whole life, rider. But you know, found a ranch and went you know, riding off into the, I wouldn't say deserts. It's not a desert out there, but into the wildlands. And good time. And yeah, so I myself look forward to possibly going to this tournament in Texas. I know if I mentioned to my wife, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, we had a great time in Texas." So, what about you, Alex? You in for a little trip down to Texas?
Well, first of all, final thoughts here on the Atlantic City Open.
Sorry.
Doesn't look like there's full details about all the events that are going to be listed there, but I am going to be eagerly awaiting to see what kind of events are going to be there. I'm going to assume everything that you typically see at SoCal Open, at PAO, Age of Sigmar 40K, Specialist Games, etc. But Lone Star Open, I've actually never been to Texas. I've heard nothing but great things. I still need to go to you know, the sister city, which is of Portland, which is in Austin.
Is it really?
Yeah, Austin, Texas. You know, they keep Austin weird, keep Portland weird. It's the whole thing. I don't know much. I do know from that conversation we had a few weeks ago, we talked about the fact that you could travel a ways away from, you know, say New Orleans from Texas. And I think I forgot. I know that there was, I think Garrett was on one side, and I think maybe Jeremy or yourself may have been on another, about Texas being too far out to be from a major city in Texas and easily get to New Orleans. Turns out when we had that discussion, all the major cities, Houston, Austin, and Dallas, for the most part, they are all very close to Louisiana. So that was helpful for all those people. Like we said in that episode, it was all about 6 to 8 hours to get to New Orleans, which is a lot faster than at least I thought. This one, it's weird to look at a city that was obviously planned out. You look at cities like Philadelphia and San Francisco, and you look at the city plans and they look kind of insane. But if you do a bird's eye view of Dallas, I mean, it looks like a spider web. The main highways through the city. It looks like that someone actually sat down, had a pen and paper and a map, and figured shit out. And that's impressive to me. But
first off, let me add something.
uh-huh.
San Francisco is a highly planned city. If you
They're
look at
planned by
its
the
map,
same person.
yeah, it's actually two grids at an angle to each other, split by what's that street?
Market.
Van Ness.
Oh, Van Ness, yes.
Yeah,
Van Ness.
yeah, but it's weird. It's like on one side, it's one city at one angle, and on the other side, it's another city at another angle. On the other hand, if you've ever been to not Ogden, Utah, but Salt Lake City, Utah, that city is incredibly planned. With the Mormon temple is basically 0-0, and all of the cities are in all the streets are in a perfect grid. And they're actually numbered northwest, north, southeast,
That's funny.
whatever, in the grid number moving out from the temple. So it's like you can't get lost in that city. It's weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mentioned San Francisco and Philadelphia as a meta joke because they had the exact same city planner.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. The same person who figured out the structure for one figured out the structure for the other, or at least the initial roads.
And then you have Boston, which is built around the cattle roads. Boston is a mess. Yes, all the roads around Boston. Yeah, Boston is a mess.
Oh yeah, it's weird to drive Boston.
I will.
And the tunnels and stuff too to mix it in.
So my thoughts here on this is never been to Texas before. Definitely want to check it out. Heard nothing but good things, and they have in terms of 40K, I don't know what their community looks like. I know that there's been some drama in the last year with the community. I don't want to get into that. It's not my place. I barely know it. I will say that when it comes to Age of Sigmar, again, like we've talked about both in your phase and previously in the Wide World of Wargaming, they have a very, very healthy meta and community build that's very. I mean, they branch out, but for the most part, they are very internal and isolated.
That seems to be a very Texas thing, right? Like Texas seems to do its own thing as far as that goes, because that's what when we were talking about them, and I forget, it's escaping my mind the name of
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Oh, John, thank you. When we were talking to Jonathan about that league there, I was blown away. Multiple cities, multiple stores, multiple clubs. They had the website tracking, scoring, everything. It was literally everything that the ITC has, except encapsulated within Texas, and then they still reported to the ITC. It's pretty impressive.
They have a giant pool at that hotel that has a giant TV screen playing football, and that seems very Texas to me.
So Texas.
But I think that it's going to be really cool to see this type of event in such a very literally centralized part of the United States. It would probably be a little harder for more international folk to show up. I would only assume that just because it's going to be a lot longer of a flight because it's truly in the center of the country.
I think they have a really good international airport in Dallas, though.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm just talking about like time, like as the
if you're flying to Vegas, you're flying to Dallas.
And it's worth mentioning, if you thought Virginia was humid, wait till you are in Dallas Fort Worth in July. Like
really?
Yeah, it's funny that when we went there the last time we went there, we were in this beautiful resort, but the entire resort was encapsulated in like a giant glass building so they could air condition and dehumidify it. But you still had to like walk out of the building, and man, that place, the humidity and the heat combined. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. So this is going to be about 20 to 30 minutes from downtown Dallas too, which is another point to note. It is in this Lone Star Open isn't technically in Dallas. It looks like it's specifically in an area called, oh, pardon me. You know what? Yeah, it's called it's in Allen, Texas.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of suburbs in that spider web that is Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth is much like kind of like the Bay Area or the greater Portland area, right? Just sprawling suburbs, peeking into little mini cities and all kinds of stuff.
They're advertising it as a super major 40K super.
Wow, that sounds big.
That sounds big. I don't know if it's going to be that big, but hey, it wouldn't be Texas if it wasn't talked about like it was big either way, right? No jokes there. No disrespect either. But yeah, it's gonna be in Allen, Texas. Like you said, it is gonna be from July 24th to July 25th. I'm very curious. I don't know if I'm going to go. As we've talked about with this, and even the discussion that we had with the Atlantic City Open, there are some areas of the country that we've talked about before that don't get a lot of love in terms of tournaments, right? Usually certain cities in the East Coast get a lot of love. Then there's like Southern California, Northern California, and then and at least in terms of Age of Sigmar, Pacific Northwest has like, the 2019 season, we had like 10 GTs and 3 majors separately, regardless of the rest of the country. So like people in the Pacific Northwest, they honestly, for Age of Sigmar, honestly don't really need to go to a lot of events to travel that far to go to a ton of events. For other people, they're going to be a little bit more isolated. And furthermore, with 40K. So I think that you're still going to see LVO as top dog as we look at these events. But just I'm seeing what they did here. And it's very smart that they're going, oh, these may be underrepresented locations. These people may go to LVO. And like, let's say the Dallas area, the Dallas Fort Worth area, like you mentioned, they're likely to have some people who are going, okay, cool. I can only go to like the Dallas or the Lone Star Open because it's right in my backyard, and then I can also go to LVO, and those are my like 2 major huge events for the year, so I'm liking this. I'm liking this idea a lot. Again, with this one, like
for sure you may have noticed that all of these places they picked are what I would call destinations. Like these are all places that you might travel to even if you didn't have a tournament to go to. True.
This event, again, does not have a huge amount of information in terms of what's going to happen. All of these events are relatively more to come, but at least they have the dates. And in all these events, for those who are listening on Facebook, they don't have, again, links to tickets or whatever, but they do have in each one of these links to the promotional portions of the hotel venue for your room. So,
so you can start reserving your rooms. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. My only issue is like, I know that there's and to quote word for word, this super major 40K super will be hosted just outside Dallas. That doesn't give me any context towards other games. So if you're there to play a different game like AOS or a specialist game, who knows? Maybe they'll have it, maybe they won't, which is a big worry. I hope that they all have access to everything.
Yeah.
You know what? I just noticed every single one of these is a different chain of hotels too. I won't be able to stack my points by the end.
Fuck. Oh, are you saying that we're going to need like a Marriott gamer card? Because I have a Caesars gamer card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on, so you've basically mentioned on something I was going to bring up at the end of our whole list. But one of my, I guess we'll just talk about it now. And one of my worries about these things is while Frontline Gaming has done a wonderful job of building up the 40K scene and designing this wonderful ITC circuit and putting a lot of energy in these big ass 40K tournaments, Age of Sigmar has kind of felt a little, not as much attention is given to Age of Sigmar. And like, it feels, I always love the Las Vegas Open, but a lot of times it does feel like at the LVO, Reese just goes, "Hey, Scott, run my tournament." And Scott runs the whole Age of Sigmar tournament. And like, so I'm like, and they don't have a lot of as you said, info about what sort of game systems are at these other events. And so it's just like for the Atlantic City Open, I knew immediately a lot of the people out here, like Martin and Sean Feather, are like, hey, do you guys need help with Age of Sigmar? Because I think they see the same, writing on the walls that is like, if somebody doesn't step up, there isn't going to be one there. Because Frontline's first main focus is going to be 40K. And so if they probably are looking for community leaders to kind of step up and run the events for them on the Age of Sigmar side. And if that doesn't happen, then they're not going to get the right advertisement that it needs to happen. And if Age of Sigmar events it's kind of going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy where the events don't perform as well in ticket sales. So they're not going to put as much energy into it. So it's going to not do as well. So it's not going to put as much energy into it. So they'll just struggle and have 20 to 30 players and maybe hit 50 versus 40K. It's going to have like 200-300 at these, like, a super major is supposed to be 205 players. So that's going to be like, so they're anticipating over 205 players at the Texas event for 40K. Well, Age of Sigmar, they're hoping to get what, 30? Like what are we talking here?
Yeah. They're looking at, 5-to-1, 10-to-1 ratio of players.
Yeah.
And it's more like, and whereas AOS is one of the bigger games that's not 40K, if you take AOS and then a lot of the other games, War Machine and what have you, and combine them all together, then that's as much at people playing as is Warhammer. But that's, that many different prize pools, that many different TOs, that many different systems. There's a lot more work to do this half than this half that's all one game, one setup.
Yeah, and I guess my worry is exacerbated by them coming out with the 40K season pass. And I'm like, okay, so you're coming out with all these big events to have this 40K season pass be worth it, but it's a 40K season pass.
Right. I was super disappointed that I didn't have an AOS season pass.
Yeah.
Well, have we talked to them about it?
No. I mean, I've been, it's been times, but it's just like, it's just right out the gates. It's kind of like, I think
someone like John would have the ability and the capacity to have a discussion and make it, and then all of a sudden it happens 2 weeks later.
I guess I'm just worried because the fact that John has to have that conversation means that it's not on their minds right away, which means it's not as much. Yeah.
There's an immediate retort I want to say, but I can't do it when recording.
I mean, we'll talk honestly, like if they even called the 40K one a flex pass, where I could use it to apply to both 40K and AOS tournaments, or I would buy it in a heartbeat because I wouldn't
even name a game.
Yeah, exactly. The Frontline Gaming Flex Pass. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, maybe later in the year we get all of a sudden Warcry gets popular.
Or maybe you just want to play Warcry when, like, you want to buy a season pass to go to all of their big events, but like, I want to play Warcry or Kill Team. Like, maybe you just wanted to go to Atlantic City, play some Warcry in a couple of tournaments, and then explore the Atlantic City. You didn't want to dive into a 40K tournament.
I will say, go on.
I was gonna say I could actually see doing a Kill Team tournament in that situation. That would be
gosh. Playing Age of Sigmar and 40K, I like both games. I really enjoy both games. I feel like you guys, like especially like Garrett right now too, there's that ebb and flow of like shifting towards one or the other. And like right now, and I know for sure Garrett's on the same fence as me on this. And I think you are too, John, but with like the Games Workshop's, inattention to, inactivity towards the FAQ and the way the books have been written. And like, it's very clearly that 3.0 is going to happen sometime later this year. And it needs to, because of mechanics that are just shot. My interest in playing a bunch of it is on the lower end of things compared to 40K, which has a lot more attention and care that's been given to it. Ironically, that's what they did with AOS at the start, and that's what brought us to it so close. Because of the fact that 40K was like ignored and it was allowed to go fucking crazy and run rampant, while like things were, rules were written with care and mended and thought about and cared for and hugged, and it was really great for AOS for several years. So we got one bad year here.
I mean, heaven forbid a gaming company ran by a bunch of highly intelligent people would game their own game and game their customers to maximize profits. I
I kind of blame
can't imagine.
playtesters. I kind of blame playtesters for AOS, but that's just me. But yeah, no, I definitely share your sentiment. So, I mean, I think that that's a discussion worth having with certain individuals, though, about the Game Pass, because I think you're right. If it's able to be a flex pass for Frontline Gaming, not only is that a great marketing tool, but that's something that will be a lot more holistic overall, because of those players who are those flex players, like you
Yep.
mentioned. The next event that is happening is, I think, explicitly 40K. And that's going to be the Las Vegas team tournament. Now, I haven't heard that it's exclusively 40K directly, but every single thing that they've hinted at, that they've mentioned, that they've referenced, screams that it's just 40K, which for those of you who just play AOS, sorry, unless they do plan on having that, like you said, if Scott just says, you know, okay, cool, I'll do it, then like perfect. But this one, it looks like it's probably, I know that they did a poll to ask people how many players would you like to have on a team, and I think 5 and 6 ended up being the most popular, but I think 5 won out, which I think is ETC sized.
Well, it's ETC AOS. ETC 40K is 8. I think. I'm pretty sure ETC 40K is 8.
Okay.
8 ATC is 5.
ATC is 5. Yeah.
ATC
So I think
is
it's following the guidelines of ATC. The last I checked, it was like a Facebook poll, and 5 was like the most dominant one. 5, and then 6 was a close second, and then like 3 was a very far third. And then there was like then there were like the 8s and stuff like that. But team tournament, there used to be, I think only for 1 year, a team tournament for 40K. It was a 1-day event. Corsairs went. I think we might have gotten 3rd on it. It was really, really
AOS.
fun.
No, it was 40K.
40K.
It was 40K.
It was for 40K. It was for 40K because I ended up playing both Schmollers at this, in the same day. I played Jessica, and a acquaintance of ours kept on commenting in the game to the point where we both had to be like, "You're not rolling dice. Please go away." And then I played Schmoller, and he 2 of his drop pods threw off the board turn 1. They both rolled 1s on their deep strike, and he goes, "Well, I guess this is how this game is going." And he failed his charge with his Acheron, and it was just like I was just like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's not me. I haven't had a turn yet. You can't blame me. But team tournaments are very, 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 very fun. And if it's anything like the team tournament that Games Workshop had, or my bad, Frontline Gaming had a few years ago, it's going to be nothing but fun. I really hope it is, because the one that they ran before, which John, I think you played in, right?
No, I didn't play in the team tournament, but that was the last year I played 40K at the LVO.
Okay, Garrett, did you play it?
No,
Maybe
I did
Logan
not.
did.
I think
Yeah.
Logan did.
Yeah, I
Your
remember
brother
you
did.
played against like one of my opponents from earlier in the day in that team tournament. I was hanging out with you for a bunch that night.
Okay, yeah, no, I remember that. So like it's like, if they do anything like that, I'm gonna have a fucking blast, because it's if it's ATC style, ATC, ETC, they all have that very similar style where you have like a team captain, and you guys do a roll off or a dice off or a coin flip, and then the person who wins, the other person has to put the first list down of 5, and then the other captain goes through their 5 lists and goes, "Oh, this is a good counter," or this. And I think that is really cool, not just because of that cool mechanic of teams truly being teams, but that adds a new mechanic to how you build your list, because that's more than just building a meta list, right? Like a quote unquote meta list, a list that you find off the internet or that won a GT is not going to win this type of game, this type of tournament. Like, you could have, let's say we do an in-your-face team, right? Plus 1 other person. Like, Garrett's list might be hyper aggro, Burna Boys, with that explicit notion to, like, if I go up against Swarms, if I go up against IG, if I go up against Necrons, I'm here to take care of them. And then I could bring some like hyper attrition army, because you're likely not to see another person who's bringing like a Garrett army. There might be another anti-horde army, but it might not be geared towards like Necrons
Mhm.
And then John, you could have, your Death Watch or your Necrons or
You know,
something
I
like
want
that.
the score denial army. So
The score
my
denial
army is the one that basically reduces the opponent's ability to score.
Which army would you have for that?
Will you
Nurgle?
design ones that don't give up secondaries
Oh,
and
yeah.
have the ability to snag objectives quickly and easily?
There
Double
you go.
OBSEC example.
And
MSU
then
double
you could
OBSEC.
have. Okay, perfect. Yeah. And so that's the thing. You start building a list around these mechanics that make like every person have a role, even if it is to like lose or to be like an anchor. You know what I mean? Like to have that like all comers one person for that like final list to throw down. I think
Or the
that's really
first.
cool. What?
Or the all comers is the guy you throw out first. Like, who's going to beat this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's your champion. Either your anchor or your champion is the all comers list.
Yep. And so I really hope that there's some restrictions on that too. Like you can't have the same army or same faction twice in your list. I remember when that team tournament first came out, our good friend and teammate Paul was just like, why don't we all just bring knights and just see what happens? It's like, we're either going to lose big or win big or well, let's find out. But I think this is cool, but another big point to note is that this is going to be a team tournament. It's going to be in Vegas. It is on. It's actually a couple months later than the Dallas or the Lone Star Open. It is on September 25th and 26th, and it is going to be at the. It's going to be in Vegas, but it's not going to be at Bally's. It's not going to be at the Rio. It's not even going to be on the Strip. It is going to be right off of the freeway. It's going to be somewhere in between the Strip, or specifically the Stratosphere, and Fremont Street. It's going to be at the Palace Station Hotel and Casino. So a little bit in between both main spots in Vegas that we as tourists would all go to.
I'm tempted to grab my Stations players card.
You have a station? Of course you have a Stations player card.
I told you my in-laws, that's where they always go.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. We looked at the casino a little earlier, and it looks like a really nice space. This gets me very excited. I really, 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 really want to do a team tournament. I've been hankering for one with to do one for some time, and
it's a good time of year to go to Vegas.
I'm sorry, what?
That's a good time of year to go to Vegas too.
It is.
Yeah.
I
weather-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Vegas around that exact time a couple of years ago. Well, 1 year ago. Yeah, about 1 year or 2019, September of 2019.
That counts as a year ago if we ignore 2020.
Yeah. Okay, so like 26 years ago in September of 2019. It was nice. It was nice. Perfect weather. Because Vegas is just like one set weather, unless you're in like the heat, like the Indian summer portion of things. It was really, really fun. So I think if we can go, it'll be a fucking blast.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. What about this next one? What's this? What's the next Frontline Gaming event on the docket here?
Is it New Orleans?
No, it's
the SoCal Open, man.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
SoCal. I always just pay attention to the new ones. The old ones are just like set in stone for me. So I'm just looking forward to the new ones.
Well, my curiosity is that we don't have a BAO date.
Well, if you notice, the event calendar is starting after when the BAO would happen.
Yeah. I think no BAO was an intentional oversight.
Well, okay, you make me realize this, and I didn't want to think about it. But given the fact that, what is it? The most recent projections as of literally today that I heard was that most people should have access potentially to a shot by May. And May is typically when it happens. So It could very well be that there just isn't an event.
That's what it's looking like.
KubaCon's not happening this year.
Oh, it's straight up not happening.
Yeah,
Okay, then the likelihood of a BAO is very low, unfortunately. I did not realize that. Okay.
Yeah, because one of the things when you look at the FLG events pass is they do mention that they'll have 14 major events in the year. And so when we look here, they have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 listed. So, somewhere there's going to be 8 other events, and presumably the BAO is one of those.
Yeah. So I can
Yeah.
hope that they'll do that, but I'm not.
I hope they do that, because without the BAO, like that means I'm literally traveling for every possible tournament that I want to go to.
Yes, and we don't want that.
Well, I mean,
No,
you've had a year's worth of not traveling, so it's all pent up. You just need to go travel this year.
but it would be nice to have a GT or something that is local, where I go home at night and that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, like for me, normally I would run a GT for 40K over the summer, but Game Castle has closed their Mountain View location, and though they opened 2 new stores, the 2 new stores are normal size. You could hold
Oh, are they?
Yeah. So you could hold maybe a 16-person tournament at Santa Clara, but that's their biggest place right now.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, what about Sacramento? How big is Sacramento?
Oh, I haven't been there. I guess that place is pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty big.
Okay, that's like, from your perspective, that's like 4 states away.
Only 2 or 3. Okay.
That's like driving halfway to New Jersey.
Actually, I think I can go from DC to Philadelphia on like an hour and a half train ride.
Oh, geez.
Oh, nice.
And that's through Maryland, Delaware, then Philadelphia, then Pennsylvania. So
for SoCal Open, I would assume that it would be no different than any other SoCal Open. 40K, Age of Sigmar, Horus Heresy, for those who still play that game.
Del Mar Fairgrounds.
Yep, Del Mar Horse Fields Fairgrounds, whatever you want to call
Donna
it.
watched a dressage competition the last time we went down to one. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is specifically the Del Mar Fairgrounds. Always beautiful that time of year. Southern California is great, especially that region in between. Del Mar is just north of San Diego. The area between San Diego and LA, especially on the coast, is beautiful. And when I say that you're near the water, you might not see the water when you get close to the venue, but if you go to like the west portion of the actual fairgrounds and you go across the main road, like you're at the beach. Like you are right there. You could take your lunch break and just walk to the beach if you wanted to at SoCal Open. Is it a good idea? Probably not, but
just wanted to give a shout out to our good friend Matthew Barker. He now lives out there. Actually, he moved. He's now working out at Laguna Beach, and so he'll probably be going.
Oh, excellent. Well, hey Matt, if you find yourself needing a taxi while you're down in that area, you can call up my buddy Taxi Dave, ready to give you a ride. Oh, it's weird. The camera, the digital, is picking up something on his card that I haven't seen before. I can't quite make that out, but yeah, hopefully Taxi Dave is still down there for us next time we head down.
So yeah, definitely look out for SoCal Open. I know he's always wanted to go to it, and so now that you're out there, it'll just be a drive rather than a flight. So
I got really nervous. So this is pandemic fever going on right now, right? I got really nervous looking at the date for SoCal Open because, my original date, I see that it's specifically the 23rd, right? Yeah, 23rd and 24th of October.
Week before Halloween.
In 2020, I was supposed to get married around that same time of the month. In October, but our new date is October 2nd. FYI, haven't sent invites out yet. But
but you're just going to announce it on a podcast.
They don't know where it's going to be. They're fine. They don't have to worry about that. But now, it's not during SoCal Open.
My wedding anniversary is still during SoCal Open. So I will probably still fail to attend SoCal Open.
For SoCal
I'm
Open.
telling you, you need to travel for your anniversary. I'm sure your lovely wife would love beautiful San Diego.
So she's she has gone to 2, maybe 3 tournaments. She went to Portland for Guardian Cup, and she's been to LVO, and she's done. She's like, no.
Really?
I'm not doing that.
Because like we have like a Warhammer Widows group that I'm starting to put together for LVOs now. Like,
Yeah, she probably will still pass. Vegas isn't her scene anyways.
fair.
But yeah, she's like, I'm not gonna go travel somewhere for you to spend 80% of the time playing Warhammer, and then the few hours that the few hours she's awake that I'm awake, I'm playing Warhammer. I get back, she goes to bed, then I go out drinking. And she's like, yeah, no, just
That sounds like a great way to celebrate your anniversary. Not a great way to have your marriage last a long time.
yeah, right.
But a great way to celebrate the anniversary.
So
Either
I
way.
probably will not be going to SoCal Open for the foreseeable future.
By the way, for the record, Garrett, I apply my 2x2 rule when it comes to anniversaries as well. And that is always 2 cards, 2 gifts, 2 flowers. One might suck, but if you got 2, it's always good.
I've already
good
got
idea.
our anniversary present, so it's and
Wait, what?
yeah.
What's your anniversary present?
I got us tickets to VIP passes to Eliza Schellinger. She's okay,
They're tickets. I was
Yeah.
picturing you like with some,
No,
jewelry
I got
or something stashed underneath the bed. Like,
No,
she's gonna find it by then, Garrett.
Oh.
You
I got
can't hide it
us
that long.
I got us VIP tickets to Eliza Schellinger, which is one of her favorite stand-up comedians. So
Yeah,
She's pretty
we're
great.
going there. We're going there
Nice.
right about our anniversary. So
that sounds
it'll be-
awesome.
Okay.
I always love live comedy shows too. They're so the laughs. You laugh so hard at a live comedy show. Just the
Oh, of course.
atmosphere and all the people just get you going.
Now, I know that you can't make it to SoCal Open, but speaking of your marriage, I know that your bachelor party was at the next destination, which I unfortunately was unable to go to. But the next event was specifically New Orleans Open, and that's going to be in December, which is a little wild. But I'm sure New Orleans, a place that God forgot, one of these spots that's nothing but humid, 3,000% humidity for probably 90% of the year.
Less humid in December and no
Less humid in
hurricanes
December,
in December.
maybe. It's December
Or
11th
rain.
and December 12th of this year is going to be the New Orleans Open. Again, this, like the other ones, they describe events, but they only describe one game system. So we're going to have to see if there's somebody who's going to pick up the torch there for any other game system. But this is, like you mentioned, John, a different type of a different hotel chain. Rather than Marriott or something else, this is specifically the Sheraton New Orleans Hotel. And taking a look at the map, I can tell you I am wholly unfamiliar with the map of New Orleans. All I can
Nothing
say
about
is,
New
just like
Orleans
Atlantic
myself.
City, I take one look at the map and go, I don't think this is going to exist in 100 years. But
Oh God no! God no!
yeah.
It was one of those weird things where I was there during not during my bachelor parties. I also went there because Sarah had a conference, and I decided to go meet her for the end of her conference. I was like, fuck it, I'll just fly out to New Orleans and just hang out with you for a couple of days at the tail end of your conference. It rained like really, really hard. And it was like, they're used to getting rain, but like I looked out there, I'm like, they didn't design streets to contain rain at all. And so it's like, not only is this place like about to be underwater, but also it's not designed to be able to handle possibly being underwater. So it just floods constantly.
Did the French make this city?
Well, what happened was
We don't have anyone here to defend it.
Yeah, right. What happened was Hurricane Katrina came in and actually flooded the city.
Well, look at you turning this into a bummer.
But they never repaired the streets after Hurricane Katrina. It's still a disaster. Like the streets, there's potholes everywhere. It's like, don't ever drive in New Orleans. Like but it's like, it's a great city, like Vegas, to like party in, because like Vegas, you have open container laws. It was one of those things where our Uber driver came up and we had a bunch of like margaritas, and we're like, oh shit. And he's like, just come in here. You just can't have straws. Like, just get in the car. It's like, you could just drink in the car. Just you can't have straws because that means the driver might be able to drink it if there's a straw. That's the only rule. It's like, just fuck it, get in the car. And so you can just drink out in the streets. Like a lot of people just like it, but it's not like Vegas where it's like very commercial. It still feels like a pub scene, but everyone's just like standing outside in the street outside the pub drinking rather than inside the pub. And they also have a really great like ghost scene, like haunted houses and all these like a whole ghost tour.
Standing around in the cold with a bunch of ghosts.
It's not cold. It's not cold. It's humid. It's
warm.
Is it? Yeah.
That's right. Because that's south. Huh?
So
okay.
So tell me, Canal Street is like the street to party, right?
Bourbon Street.
Bourbon Street. Okay, so
Bourbon
how close
Street.
is Canal Street to Bourbon Street? Because this is on the Sheraton, New Orleans is on Canal Street.
Oh yeah, I've actually the Sheraton was where the conference was that my wife was at. The other place is the French Quarter, is another good place to party, and that's not far. Like the French Quarter and Bourbon Street are both like really great place. Like there's a lot of like live jazz music you can go see, and just outdoor drinking and just like party in the streets. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a lot of fun.
Dude, they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing.
Is bizarre. I mean, your biggest park in New Orleans is literally just called City Park. There's a regional area called Cutoff that exists through the census too. So real unique names here, but
hey, there's Louis Armstrong Park, but yeah, you see it's right next to like the historical quarter. This looks like, 2 blocks from Bourbon Street is where the hotel is.
With a couple hours of walking, you could walk like most of downtown New Orleans, just like kind of like wander around and stuff. Like you want to get a lift to go from like French Quarter to Bourbon, maybe just because you might get lost, or it's like, a 30-minute walk or something like that.
It's not like they got, Murder Island or anything over there.
No, but the Museum of Death is right next to the Sheraton too.
Yeah. So
my eye just goes for these things, but
yeah, I don't know about that. When we were in Las Vegas last time, they had that human body exhibit down in the bottom of Bally's. Ugh. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, the Museum of Death, it would probably be really cool. I think it's less like human body exhibit and more like, horror stories, kind of like stuff.
That's the vibe that it's given me when I take a look here. Now I got to say, you mentioned
Super
the French
not into
Quarter,
that.
and you mentioned both French Quarter and Bourbon Street. Didn't realize it, because far be it for me to know anything about this town, but Bourbon Street is in the French Quarter, and the Sheraton Hotel is literally, and I shit you not, 1 block from French Quarter. So
yeah, okay. There's this other street that it's like, so like Bourbon Street goes up like this, and there's like another street that's like over here that goes like this. That's where there's a lot more of the like live jazz music, as opposed to Bourbon Street, which is kind of just a lot of drinking. I thought it was the French Quarter. It might be called something else though.
Now, so what I'm starting to like this Frontline Gaming circuit, because you got these great destinations. There's no Age of Sigmar. So I can just go there, hang out with friends, party, enjoy, not have to do much of anything. I think this sounds like pretty ideal.
Pardon me, I'm babysitting right now, so I got a lot of shit to deal with. Okay. Yes, I too am very excited about that one. I don't think I'm going to go to the Dallas Open necessarily, but I can tell you, the New Orleans Open is very tempting. It is around the same time of year as some major Pacific Northwest major events and GTs. So not sure if I'm going to make it, but it is tempting nonetheless. I like also that these ones still give a region of time where there's not going to be frontline events. So you're not just like constantly going to them. They're, essentially starting in May to, basically summertime plus September and December. Right. So
of course, if they end up with 14 events a year, that's not a lot of gaps in between.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to like 26 events in 2019. So
yeah, I mean, I've been, except for 2020, I've been in plus 20 events for the last half dozen years. I think most of us have.
Yeah, fair enough. And with that final event too for Frontline was of course what we've talked about a little earlier, which was or not for 2021 rather, but for 2022 we have the next LVO, and like we talked about, it is going to be the Rio. It is on Flamingo Street. It's right, if you're at Bally's and you're looking right outside towards the strip from the front of Bally's, you just take that main road, Flamingo Street, that the main road that's intersecting the I think it's Diamond Boulevard or whatever the strip is, and you go over the overpass and boom, you're at Bally's. You can't miss it. It's a very unique colored building. It's got purples, pinks, and reds. It's really cool. I used to stay there a lot prior to LVO. Really, really nice. Voodoo Lounge is great. They have some okay food. They have nice food, and it doesn't have as much mobility, but they have a free shuttle to the other places. So LVO, we got that, and that's going on in 2022 specifically. Date wise, we're looking at January 28th to January 30th of 2022.
Sounds good. I'm in. Late January. That's typically when we've been having LVO, so it's the right time of year nowadays. Not Super Bowl weekend, which was fun, but whatever. That
Not
might
Valentine's
still be.
Day weekend.
Is that still Lunar New Year weekend or Lunar New Year week? So last couple times, I think it was Lunar New Year, which means you have a lot of Lunar New Year type decorations, but a little extra crowding going on as well.
There might be, but the Lunar New Year for 2022 is actually going to be Tuesday, February 1st of 2022.
So that is the weekend of Lunar New Year.
Yeah, it would be the weekend of, yeah. So it is
so yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of that, which is cool. I mean, some of the displays and like the orchid displays that they put on and other just fantastical displays at some of the hotels are really worth seeing. That's cool. I'll be there. LVO. It's a premier event. I'm in. Haven't spoken to the guys, but ideally, maybe I'll still be doing the announcing for Age of Sigmar. We'll see how that goes. If I'm asked, I'll do it. Other than that, I plan on being in Las Vegas before then. So maybe for the team tournament, or honestly, last year that we weren't able to do it, Donna and I were planning just a summer weekend in Vegas anyways. So yeah, it'll be nice. Nice. I'm just looking forward to it, the whole thing. Then the Rio. I've never stayed at the Rio. Bally's was nice. Paris was nice. But they were getting stale.
Perfect. Yeah, they were getting a little stale. It is good to switch it up. And I'm a big fan of Rio, so I'm expecting to have a good time. Something that they used to do, I don't know if they still do, but like once an hour, they probably do it farther. They're probably going to do it farther out. They do a little bit of like a Mardi Gras like parade thing, because it's all like Mardi Gras themed,
like Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, like Rio's Mardi Gras. So like all of a sudden, I remember, I don't know if they still do it now, but like they'd come out with like giant weird like light up heads and people throwing beads, and like they'd have like some songs going on and a bunch of like dancers and stuff. So it'd always be a little wild at first and be like, what?
I like all those things.
What?
I like all those things.
Yeah. So, it'll be a good time. They have an okay sports bar. It is, preface, I would go to Vegas a lot when like around the time of me being able to legally drink, and also prior to that. And my dad had made it a point that we were going to go to every single bar or every single casino on the strip, and we're going to compare and find out which one had the best sports bar. So that one's an okay one. It's not great, but it's okay.
Oh, I see.
We went through a whole system where we rated them. It was
that sounds like a great thing to do with Dad.
It was pretty fun. I gotta say, Mandalay Bay for me was my favorite, but that was just because it was like clean, it was nice, huge open spaces, bunch of shit. Yeah, but now I can't go to a casino and not look at their sports bar and think about how I would assess it.
Nice.
But what are you guys' final thoughts then on the FLG events? I'm stoked that there's this many now.
Yeah, I'm super stoked on it. We'll be interested to see in a year when all 14 are on the calendar what that looks like. little bit of concern of dilution, a little bit of concern over schedule crowding, but I think all that can be dealt with. I think that we're going to see that some of these other events that pop up are actually events that we already know that are maybe being brought into the tighter FLG umbrella. And if you remember that Reese and Frankie were TOing and running some events that were not FLG events. So there's some logical connections there, I think, as far as that goes. I myself, I think I'm going to hit Reese up and ask him if the Express Pass could let me into both 40K and AOS events. And if so, I'm in on the Express Pass.
I think if we badger them enough, we might really get it. How about you, Garrett? Anything? Final thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of the iterating the same things. I'm really excited just because FLG always puts on phenomenal events. Like, I got a lot of criticisms, but that's just because I want them to be better. But they put on really good shows. They have good staff, good terrain. They put in a lot of effort, and they always run tight schedules. They're always like they do good work. They know what they're doing, and I'm really excited to kind of see their formula exported across the country. And so that just really excites me that I'll just be able to get FLG events all over the place. And it gives me, I guess, like John was saying, it might dilute other events, but honestly, it'll probably just mean some events just won't run. And instead they'll just be cannibalized, and those communities will just go into the FLG events because FLG can provide the resources that will make it so you don't need to run an event. Like, the bigger reason that TOs run events is to build a community, and they're expensive. They honestly don't pay. You don't get paid. It's a lot of work. FLG can give you a way that you can run your event the way you want, but they'll just provide all of the logistical stuff, all the terrain, the space, the tables, everything that is hard about running an event. They do for you really well, and you can just run the event really well. And so I'm really excited for them to do that for a lot of people in these areas. So it'll mean traveling to events kind of has a consistent message. Like, I can go to an event knowing, yeah, I know what I'm getting into. So I am very, very excited for this. Again, I want this Express Pass to be Age of Sigmar as well. I like, now that 9th edition is a thing, I would actually like to do both AOS and 40K, so I can sometimes do 40K, sometimes do AOS, depending on my mood at the time. That to me sounds like like right now I'm actually looking like maybe buying the Express Pass, even if it's only 40K, just because I might be focusing on 40K in the meantime. Don't know, but like, I'm willing. I want to do both well. So my mood is I am loving this, and I'm very excited, and I'm excited to see what it becomes 5 years from now.
Yeah.
I think that we all have a shared sentiment here. John, you were going to say something?
I just said, I was agreeing with Garrett.
Perfect. Well, if you guys agree, let us know. If you guys have any thoughts on these type of events, definitely let us know as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to all of them, but I would definitely want to make it a goal, just at least during one season, to try to make it to all of them. That would be kind of fun. Hopefully, even they have like an achievement process as a part of it. That would be
if there's
cool.
a pin, Reese already still owes me a pin too. So
there you go. Maybe it could be like the EGOTs or whatever. If you can win an award every single one, you get this like special thing. That would be tight.
They would do that, and it would be the year I win it, and Reese would be like, "Hey, Garrett, you think we should have a trophy for that?" And Garrett would be like, "Nah, he's not into trophies. Just like a certificate or something will be fine."
That's real. That's real. That is real. That is on you. That is on you, Garrett. You will live with that for the rest of your life. You guys will not know about that. That is a separate thing that a few people might already know, but that'll be a little inside thing for a few in the know. Our patrons are definitely going to be in the know, but yeah, if you guys like this episode, do like and subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, but it is a little finicky. So if you're only seeing the one episode, do check out Spotify or Google Podcasts. I am actually in the process currently of having us be added to several other additional less common platforms as well, for those who may be of the different variety there. But we are also, again, on YouTube and Twitch. Stream typically every weekend. We've had the last couple of weekends off. But yeah, do like and subscribe. We're pretty much anywhere where you get your podcasts. And yeah, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. This is going to be Alex, John, and Garrett signing off for the evening. Have a good night.